Hello, my name is Sydney Ivory and welcome to DIY or Die. Today I'm hanging out with film composer Ozie Cargile. And we paint some pretty cool glasses, if I do say so myself.
I was 11 years old when I actually started to write music. My first inspiration for music was actually my 5th grade music teacher by the name of Mr. Williams. I do not know what Mr. Williams' first name was. It was at Venzile Elementary. Mr. Williams played the piano and he taught us how to sing. And he really just taught us about life, but he had such a charisma to the way that he performed piano. And when I finally got a chance to start learning piano myself, my first imitation was that of Mr. Williams, which is interesting now that I'm thinking about this, because after Mr. Williams, my piano teacher, or my music teacher, was John Williams, the composer. Indiana Jones, Star Wars, those kind of films, the Spielberg films, originally was very inspired by the movies, and John Williams just seemed like a natural fit to take after.
I wanna blow 1,000 kisses in your face. I wanna spend the night at your place.
It doesn't take a lot to say a lot. That's something that I've learned. When I first started off in composition, the original goal was to be able to write the music that I had heard, to write the music that I admired, and it was very complicated music and it was very involved. So as a young composer, you tend to want to put a lot of ideas on the page. So you might have 3 or 4 themes going on at the same time. You have these thick, lush orchestrations. Each choir in the orchestra has its own unique voice and its own unique thing that it's doing. And this just sort of multiplies, and it makes for a very thick orchestration. And there are great composers that follow that modality, and certainly that's what I was taking from as I was studying music in high school and college. But as I got older and I started getting into film music and I started getting into projects with actual deadlines, you learn that you can accomplish that big sound, you can accomplish the complexity without having to layer so much. You don't need a lot to say a lot. So that's one of the things that I've learned from my own music, especially over the last few years. I've been able to achieve something that I would still be proud of, but something that's actually a lot simpler than I originally set out to do.
If I ever tell you, you look like a superhero, that's because you do to me.
But I think Hollywood's original advantage is still its advantage, its reach. You know, if something comes out at the movies, you're more likely to see it than if you upload it to your YouTube channel. But that's not to say that your YouTube channel can't become the movies. I watch more YouTube than I do movies. And that's partially because of the medium that YouTube and other social media sites and other, forums like that. It's free, so if I can go online and see great content for free or for little or no cost, I'm not going to be as apt to try to get that same experience going to the theater or going to, a show or something like that.
Life was a song, you came along, I've laid awake the whole night through. If I ever dared to think you care, this is what I say to you.
The truth of the matter is you can build a career for yourself outside of Hollywood today in a way that you were not able to even 10 years ago. However, nothing beats the Oscars. Nothing beats the movies. That's the height of it. And in terms of global reach, now moving beyond the local, moving beyond the national, and actually going into the global stage. Nothing beats Hollywood on that level, simply because they have the infrastructure and they have the channels. And it's kind of ironic because things like YouTube are Hollywood-ish. These are still, properties of large companies that are influencing the industry in significant ways. So really, Hollywood has just changed. It's no longer just a place. It's a frame of mind. It's a level of resource. And if you want to be big, you have to tap into that, whether it's YouTube or LA.
Are there cabs in Michigan thinking for the city I'm in? Popcorn burning, I'll blame you. It's sad that her computer can't do what she do.
This is so ironic. I'm going to give the advice that was once given to me that I absolutely hated. One time, I was at the Detroit Symphony at a Pops concert conducted by the late Jerry Goldsmith. I was able to get backstage and meet this legendary composer because I was studying with Michael Dougherty at the University of Michigan at the time. And I'm standing there face to face with Jerry Goldsmith, expecting him to give me the inroad to becoming a Hollywood master and breaking into the industry. And I asked him, what advice would you give to a young composer? And he said, study. And I thought that was, I mean, I appreciated talking to him, certainly, but I thought it was kind of patronizing because I said, well, of course I'm studying, of course I'm a student. What is that going to do for me in terms of career? I understand that advice now because the literacy of Hollywood, the literacy, not just of Hollywood, but music composition in general has gone down. And that's partially because it's so easy to create music. You can get a copy of Pro Tools or Reaper, download some plugins and VSTs, and start making music. You can, get a nice keyboard, hit the arpeggiator with one or two chords, and create something that people really like. And especially when you get into popular genres like pop, hip hop, R&B. It doesn't take a lot to create a great sound and to create something that's entertaining and meaningful to people. So if you're a composer, your advantage is not going to be in how fast you can create music or even the fact that you can create music. Yes, maybe 20, 30 years ago that was an advantage. It is no longer an advantage. I think the thing that's going to set you apart, if you can't be set apart, is the quality of sound that you can produce that no one else can produce, and that requires study. It may very well be studying classical music theory. It may be studying jazz. If you're not into the highbrow forms of music, it will be studying whatever your particular craft is. But the point is to know your craft and to know it to such a point where you can bring a level of excellence that others won't be able to bring because they just don't know what you know. And then if you take that and you expand it into studying not just the music, but studying the industry itself, studying people and studying the way that things are and how the industry actually works, it becomes a situation where the more you know, the faster you'll grow and the more you'll be able to have. So it really is a matter of knowledge, and that's probably the greatest advice that I can give, especially in a situation where you do have things like YouTube and SoundCloud out there where you can promote yourself for little or no cost and have a potential to reach a pretty large market. But in honor of the Ozie of so many years ago who did speak to Jerry Goldsmith, I'm gonna give you the advice that I was expecting Mr. Goldsmith to give me. And that is meet people. Wherever you are, if you're in Detroit, if you're in LA, if you're in New York, if you're in some little hick town in the back of the South somewhere, your success as a composer is measured by who knows your music. Firstly, that is whatever audience you're trying to reach, but that also includes the people that can share your music with larger audiences. We know Beethoven, we know Mozart, we know John Williams because we know them. Someone told us about them. Someone shared the music with us. And that someone was the someone that you need to know. And the only way you're going to meet that person is if you put yourself out there and you're physically going out to meet people. That's not to say that you can't do a lot of the things online, and I've been able to do things like that. But some of the most significant successes and relationships that I've fostered in the music industry have come from actually going to where the people are and meeting them. Everything from audience to the show producers and that kind of thing. So market yourself. Marketing is just as important as music. Getting yourself out there is just as important as creating something that should be out there. If you can put those two things together, then you got a chance. To become aware of the world around us and how we influence that world and how that world is influencing us. And if you can do that through your music, awesome. I think musicians and artists are some of the most conscious people on the planet. But it doesn't seem as of late that we, even us in the music industry, are doing enough to raise the consciousness of humanity. And if anyone can do it, we can do it. Because we're what the world turns to when they need whatever, when they need that insight, when they need that lifting up, or even just something to hold them in depression, or wherever they are, people turn to music for that. So we're a natural choice for being able to import, a higher level, but we can't import that level or raise that consciousness if we are not there. And we can't do it alone. We need everyone else, in their particular realms of influence to join us. So wake up. Yeah, that's that.
Alright, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day, and make sure you check out Ozie's channel.
Get me cut off on the side of the screen.
I'm trying to figure out.
Sometimes you get boring footage, and then you gotta edit it to make it all smooth and nice.
Let me help you out just a little bit.